Cinemacon 2016, the convention not for fans, but for the movie studios, distributors and movie theater chains, is now behind us. Some of the things revealed during and in conjunction with Cinemacon is right in line with what we cover here at Midnight's Edge. So in this video, I'll provide some commentary on the Sony presentation, creative control over Spider-Man, more Batman on film, the Suicide Squad reshoots, and further indications the rift between Sony and Marvel is healing. The Sony presentation was led by Tom Rothman, the notorious former Fox head honcho who would go on to replace Amy Pascal at Sony, following her demotion after the Sony hack. Rothman has done an impressive job cleaning up his Wikipedia page and removing the controversies from it, no doubt in an effort to try to whitewash his own image. As much as he might wish otherwise though, we all remember how, among many other things, Rothman is the one who cancelled Firefly, chased Bryan Singer away from X-Men 3, greenlit Josh Trank's Phant 4 stick, mandated they sew shut Deadpool's mouth, and then spent the rest of his tenure at Fox preventing the same Deadpool which would later prove to be a smash hit from being made. In short, his streak on genre movies is a pretty terrible one, right up until the moment he was fired from Fox for alienating filmmakers and harming morale. God only knows what possessed Sony CEO Michael Linton to put him in charge at Sony. When keeping Rothman's former track record in mind, the Sony presentation takes on a whole new level of irony. Rothman began by saying that we have a number of power brands that are relaunching and are being reintroduced, and yet at Sony we also believe it's vital to maintain a commitment to originality. Now that's rich coming from the guy who greenlit a Jumanji remake. Anyway, he goes on to say that without leaps into the unknown, we would not have District 9, Straight Outta Compton, Gravity or Avatar. It's funny that he should mention Avatar. That is the only one of the listed movies he had any kind of involvement with, and his involvement was allegedly fighting it and James Cameron at every turn. That movie, like Titanic before it, would not have been made were it not for Jim Giannopoulos siding with Cameron over Rothman. Giannopoulos would go on to replace Rothman at Fox, and it was under his watch that Fox's output has suddenly improved. Back to the Sony presentation, among some original movies that do seem pretty cool, like Sausage Party and Passengers, Rothman also announced that Sony are indeed moving forward with a 21 Jump Street and Men in Black crossover that no one ever asked for. Plenty other movies were presented too, but the Ghostbusters presentation is probably the one that the followers of this channel might be interested in. Footage was shown, and director Paul Feig and the new Ghostbusters themselves were part of the show. According to the media outlets that reported from the event, there was more applause than laughs, with some outlets more than hinting that the footage shown and presentation overall was not received in the enthusiastic way Sony no doubt would have preferred. Rothman saved the best for last though, and announced the title and title card for Sony and Marvel Studios' joint Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Homecoming. According to Rothman, the title emotes both high school and the character's return to Marvel. While I personally am not too thrilled about either title nor title card, props at least for the shape resembling the original comic book logo. However, the big question everyone is asking is if the powers that be at Sony will be smart enough to know that they should stay the hell out of Marvel's way and let Kevin Feige make the movie however he sees fit. Luckily, it would appear that just might be the case. At the Captain America Civil War press junket, Kevin Feige told Collider, "We're working very much together. I don't know exactly what the credits will be, but it is a Sony Pictures production of a Marvel Studios film. The agreement was that it is very much a Sony Pictures movie. Amy Pascal is co-producing it with us, and Sony chairman Tom Rothman is leading the charge for Sony, and that we are the creative producers. We are the ones hiring the actor, introducing him in this film, and then working right now on the script and soon to be shooting the actual Spidey film." What does this mean? My interpretation is that Sony pays the bills, Sony gets their logo on it, Sony gets to bask in the sunshine and take credit, but Marvel actually makes the movie, and that Pascal's producer credit and Sony's involvement is for all intents and purposes marquee only. That would certainly be the best case scenario. If Sony has to micromanage a Spider-Man movie into oblivion, let them do it with the other Spider-Man movie they're making, the standalone non-MCU animated Spider-Man movie. We'll cover that and all other things Spider-Man in the upcoming Spider-Man series that we're making with Troll in the Dungeon here at Midnight's Edge, so be sure to check back for that very soon. But perhaps more interesting than what was said during Sony's Cinemacon presentation was what wasn't said. More specifically, the standalone Venom movie wasn't mentioned by a word, which certainly suggests it might not be the highest priority for the studio. Also not mentioned was Masters of the Universe. Sony has had the movie rights for that the last couple of years. Before it ended up there, it was languishing in development hell at Warner. And before it was in development hell at Warner, it was in development hell at Fox, back when Rothman ran the show over there. But the project gained traction at Sony and was allegedly, for all intents and purposes, ready to go into production when Rothman replaced Pascal at Sony. Coming full circle, Rothman sent Masters of the Universe spiraling back down into development hell. So fans of that property, of which I am one, might not want to hold their breath for that. Batman v Superman is running on fumes at the worldwide box office by now. Barring a theatrical re-release of the Ultimate Cut, its chances of reaching 1 billion theatrically are for all intents and purposes non-existent. And due to the higher production and marketing costs, it will be less profitable for Warner than Man of Steel was. Since Man of Steel itself was an underperformer and considered a disappointment, Batman v Superman can only be considered a major disappointment. Keep in mind, both previous Batman solo movies cracked the 1 billion mark, and they didn't have Superman or Wonder Woman in them. Internally, I think they were counting on Batman v Superman to do in the vicinity of minimum 1.3 billion or thereabouts, and they no doubt hoped for even higher. I honestly think that they probably saw it limping past 1 billion as a worst case scenario in their internal projections when they greenlit the movie. As it stands, Batman v Superman will struggle to reach even 900 million. Still, Warner marches on full steam ahead with their DC Expanded Universe, and in a move which surprised absolutely no one. The biggest news coming out of Warner's Cinemacon presentation was CEO Kevin Tsujihara announcing a Batman solo movie to be written by, directed by, and star Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck's Batman, of course, is the one universally praised aspect of Batman v Superman, even if many had issues with how aspects of the character were handled. There was an audience demand for this Batman solo movie, which just goes to show that while Superman and Wonder Woman may be claimed to be iconic and recognizable, that doesn't mean they're popular. Batman is the hyped one that actually draws a sizable audience. We still don't know the release date of the new Batman solo movie, and probably Warner haven't decided that just yet either. But chances are, it will land on either October 5th, 2018 or November 1st, 2019, the two slots reserved for announced but unnamed DC movies. Suicide Squad director David Ayer also talked more on the recent reshoots. Remember, the purpose of the reshoots has been rumored to be to brighten the tone, to make it more like the well-received trailers and less dour and depressing like the same rumors claim that the finished movie is. At Cinemacon, David Ayer told Collider that the studio had asked him if he wanted something else for the movie, and he answered that he wanted another action set piece. He elaborated, saying that, "If they don't like your movie, they tend not to want to invest in it. If they love your movie, they give you what you want." And I don't think there's any director that finishes a movie and says, "Wow, that's perfect, that's what I really want it to be." Every movie I've ever made, I wish I could go and grab some additional stuff, and that's exactly the chance I got this time. It's like getting a new car, but you get fancy rims and a new stereo. While Ayer may be on the level here, I detect a serious amount of spin. His claim that studios tend not to invest in it if they don't like your movie needs some serious modification. Only in the event that a studio isn't happy with a low-budget standalone movie, which doesn't mean anything in the bigger scheme of things, then it's true, the studio won't throw good money after bad. They'll simply dump it, cut the marketing budget too, and send it out to die and be forgotten. Not so with tentpole movies, or strategically important movies, and Suicide Squad is both. I'm not saying categorically that this is the case, but in the hypothetical event that Warner weren't happy with Suicide Squad, you can rest assured they would have no problem shelling out tens of millions in reshoots to make it work, especially after the critical and financial disappointment that was Batman v Superman. The long-term cost of doing nothing and letting the DC expanded universe strike out yet again is far greater than the short-term cost of fixing Suicide Squad. So don't expect the rumors that the reshoots are meant to bring the movie closer to the trailers to go away just yet. In other news that surprised no one, Fox announced Deadpool 2 during their Cinemacon presentation. Both director Tim Miller and star Ryan Reynolds will return, but no release date has been announced thus far, allegedly because the filmmakers are given the time they need to make the movie great. What did surprise, however, was learning just how keen those creatively in charge of Fox's X-Men universe are to work with Marvel Studios. More specifically, Deadpool director Tim Miller said he would love to see the Merc with the Mouth team up with Spider-Man. Miller went on to say that he and producer Simon Kinberg are actively trying to build bridges with Marvel over the use of the character. Kinberg himself added that he would love to see it, and he went on to say that both of us are close with Marvel's Kevin Feige. We respect and love Kevin. If it were even remotely possible, we will find a way, because we would love to see it. Kinberg also stated that he would love to see the X-Men cross over with the Avengers. Of course, there is a long distance between expressing those wishes and any of those crossovers actually happening, due to all the red tape and legal ramifications involved. But what is sensational is that these comments and wishes are expressed at all, as they would have been unthinkable just a few short years ago. Rothman would probably have strangled anyone who whispered anything of the sort on his watch. That these comments can be made in public by the lead producer of the entire X-Men cinematic universe and the director of the biggest movie in it is just further proof a seismic shift already has happened between Fox and Marvel. I so look forward to Marvel Studios' Fantastic Four reboot, which I grow increasingly confident must be coming. Be sure to let me know what you think of all this in the comments.
If you like this video, please hit that subscribe button. Join us for spin-free news and analysis of the happenings and corporate politics behind the scenes of your favorite genre movies, as well as explorations of your favorite characters and their backgrounds and context here at Midnight's Edge.